I think that Spielberg's greatest contribution to world cinema might be, to this day, the 1977 iconic classic that is Close Encounters of the Third Kind. As much as I greatly adore Raiders of the Lost Ark, Jaws, as sheerly impactful as Schindler's List still is, and as universally enjoyable as old Jurassic Park remains, Close Encounters is the most ultimately optimistic, transglobal, and wholesome work in the Spielberg set. And I know, how can you say that about a film about a man abandoning his family to go run off with the aliens? You can't just brush it off as the 70s and endorse such rank irresponsibility, surely. Well, allow me to sympathise with Roy Neary just for a moment. Firstly, his family, or his wife, with the kids, left him in the midst of what is clearly a major mental health crisis for Neary. This isn't to say that they shouldn't have done this. Some circumstances require distance from an ill or otherwise unstable partner or parent, but Neary was clearly a victim of something he could not control. Even before the incident with the UFOs implanting these visions within his mind, he is clearly an unhappy dad, not fit to be a family man, dejected, seeming selfish, and obviously not living the life that he had hoped to live. Maybe raising a family wasn't as idyllic as the sitcoms or real estate commercials had claimed it might be. Whatever the case, maybe Neary's wife and kids were better off without him. Maybe Neary has many reservations about being a father, not for his family itself, but for the degree of responsibility which is more than he anticipated or could bear. Though maybe his duty is simply to suck it up, and the script is too ingrained within the get divorced, do what thou wilt moment of the 1960s and 70s. Or maybe, possibly, Neary is somewhere on the spectrum and feeling a bit alien in a world of mostly neurotypical individuals, felt more at home and potentially at peace with the benign alien visitors. Yes, some parents have kids because they feel as though it is expected of them. It is what one is supposed to do. And then they regret it afterward. They want nothing ill to happen to their child or children, but they might feel as though they aren't up to the major, overwhelming task. I'd possibly prefer not to express any moral stance in a piece on Spielberg's uplifting classic, but the current discourse on this film has somewhat forced me into doing so. In every measure, I consider Close Encounters to be a plausible masterpiece, from the photographic majesty to the enthralling screenplay, enchanting music and potent sense of awe, wonder, a sheer shameless optimism. Close Encounters is one of the most watchable films in the medium's history, a film that was utterly world-shifting when I had first viewed it at age 12. Even as a 12-year-old born in the rather spoilt and generationally scornful and unforgiving group of brats born in 1996 AD, it remains as powerful now as it was then, and I feel one of the most magnificent accomplishments in the history of human representation. Maybe for pragmatic reasons, if any film is to be placed on the shuttle as proposed communication with prospective extraterrestrials, it is this one, surely. If I do happen to prefer Jaws or Raiders or Temple of Doom, it is not without conceding that Close Encounters is as well-meaning, hopeful and wholesome as Spielberg gets, and without being too saccharine or sanitized either, the perfect application of the later identified Spielberg formula, and maybe the only time that known formula was really truly justified and entirely valid an undertaking.